Hello, Tim from Fair Play now on the 13th of December 2024. So, I've got some good news for you, some bad news for you. The good news is I'm back. I haven't made a video for a few days, but I've got a few things to speak about today. And the bad news is the other thing that's back is face snaps. Yet again, I've seen this article here that came out yesterday saying that as of today, Friday the 13th, unlucky for some, unlucky if you're going to any hospital in Lincolnshire, because they're bringing back the old face naps in there, even though they don't work, even though everybody who's got any sense and any knowledge about these things know they don't work. It actually says on the packets of the things that they don't prevent the transmission of lurgies. But these Muppets up in Lincolnshire are actually bringing them back. They're saying, oh yeah, you know, the cases of various things are on the rise, the lurgies on the rise, the flu's on the rise, this and that's on the rise. So, oh yeah, they've got to bring them in. But I think with these things, they just keep probing, don't they? The powers that shouldn't be will be looking at the people in Lincolnshire in these hospitals like a hawk. And if there's any sign of any uptake of muzzle wearing, they'll no doubt use that or take that as a sign to maybe ramp things up even more. So I think all we've got to do, and all we've got to say to others as well, is it's just scaremongering. It's people trying to bring back the nonsense yet again. But if you just ignore their mandates, sure, if you want to wear a muzzle or if someone wants to wear one, that's up to them. But if you don't, that's up to you. And if that's the case, and you don't want to wear them, you know, I don't think these mandates serve any purpose. We all know, at least here in the freedom movement, that you don't have to obey mandates. They're a matter of consent. A mandate sort of means that they put out something that they suggest you do, and you can then either say, yes, please, I'll go with that, or no, thank you very much. And I suggest the latter course of action is taken, and that will then tell people, the powers that shouldn't be, no, we're just not interested in your nonsense anymore. So that's one thing. And the thing that kind of makes it even more ironic, they'll say, oh yes, we're doing this for the good of everybody, we care about people's well-being, etc. Well, I think the last time I made a video was just ahead of the assisted dying vote. Obviously at that point I didn't know which way it was going to go. It went in favour of doing assisted dying eventually, and yeah, you know, that just shows, well, do they really care about people's well-being? Yes, at the moment they're selling it, or they did sell it, about, you know, it's going to be about helping people if they're terminally ill, they're in great pain, great suffering, no quality of life. The kind thing to do is to help them along their way. But we all know, anyone who kind of has got any sort of brain in their head knows this is the thin end of the wedge. That's been proven in the Netherlands, that's been proven in Canada, where they brought these things in a few years ago, and already they're extending it out to people who aren't terminally ill, who aren't in pain, and in some instances who aren't even haven't even got anything wrong with them physically. If they just show signs of mental illness, for instance, they you know, can now go for assisted dying, and that is going to be what is going to happen here. Now, I saw a very interesting interview last night with Dr. Neil McRae, who apparently has got a new book out, Greener in by Tooth and Claw or something, I think it's called. I'll leave the exact name under here so you can look it up, where to get it if you're interested in buying it, if you're a fan of his. And he has been interviewed by Gareth Ike, and it was a very interesting interview. And a couple of takeaway points that I took from it. First of all, I know there's going to be a lot of skeptics out there who think, it's not the thin end of the wedge. It's just there to help people who are terminally ill, who are in great pain and all of that. And it's not going to go any further. And there's going to be very great safeguards in place to ensure it's not taken advantage of by anyone, and that it doesn't go any further. But the red flags to look out for will be, first of all, if they extend the scope of it in any way. If they just start bringing in, it's not only going to be for people who are terminally ill, in great pain, it's going to be for people who are over a certain age, maybe. It's going to be for people who have got certain mental illnesses or certain non-life-threatening but high disabilitating ailments, which reduces their quality of life. And we need to look out for these things. And if there's any kind of discussion in the mainstream media and government, parliament, etc., aiming to broaden the scope of this thing, we need to sort of say, well, these are exactly the red flags people like me and people like you were pointing out way back there in December 2024. So that is all I'm going to say on that. And, for any people who are skeptical about the views of people like me, just you wait and see, because I think that is definitely what is going to be happening. Anyway, the other big takeaway point that I took from this interview, and it's something Neil McRae said, and he talked about the concept of Coffin Dodgers. And this is another thing we need to look out for that might come into the mainstream consciousness in years to come. And what Neil McRae was saying is he doesn't think it will ever get to the stage of Logan's Run, where you get to a certain age and then it's compulsory euthanasia for you once you get to 70, 75, 80, whatever it might be. He doesn't think that's ever going to happen, but what might happen is, and this will just be ramped up over probably quite a long time, quite a lot of years, I'd have thought, even a few decades, but eventually they might just make it just demonize people who go past the age where it's deemed polite, shall we say, polite to end it all. So let's say that age is 75, you get to 80, and people will be pointing to you in the streets, people will be making sarcastic comments and saying, oh, look at that Coffin Dodger, he should have gone a long time ago. And that is something that I think, again, we need to be looking out for. And if there's any talk about, any kind of talk along those lines in future, even if it's just in the form of films and TV programs kind of starting to normalize that way of thinking, it just needs to be called out and nipped in the bud. So that is another thing, I think, another red flag we need to look out for. So if they do start ramping up the whole thing of, if you're too old and you're not going for assisted euthanasia, you're just being selfish, you're sort of going against the greater good of society, you're taking up resources, using up resources, you're bad for the environment, you're not contributing anything to society, etc., etc., etc. I think we really do need to look out for that. Now, I would like to think that we in this country, at least, have got a certain sense of the British, well, sense of fair play, and that that kind of thing wouldn't happen. That's what I would hope. But then again, I also thought we had a certain kind of sense of fair play that we wouldn't go dobbing each other into the police just for not wearing a muzzle, or for having more than whatever it was, 6 people round at your house at any one time, or going out more than once in any one day out of your house to do exercise or whatever. And yet we saw that. So I think it's something, this whole concept of coffin dodging needs to be looked into. We need to be on the lookout for it. And if there's any kind of talk of it whatsoever in the mainstream consciousness in years to come, we need to treat it as a very, very big red flag indeed. And we need to do what we need to do to nip it in the bud. So anyway, there's just a few thoughts there, and like I say, I'll leave a link to well, where you can get Neil McRae's book, this Greener and Teeth and Claw. It looks like a very interesting read indeed, and if you want to go for it, I'll leave, well, either a link for it or at least the name of it, and in the description box below here. Anyway, going to leave it there for now. And I'll be back soon. Tim from Fair Play Now. Thanks for watching.